Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to RaceFace.pro, the Metal State Grid Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig, and joining me in the box once again is the one, the only, Janneman Price. Janneman, how are you doing?
Good evening, Stephen. Yeah, I was absent last night, but it's good to be back on a Thursday evening. It is race time, and this time we are at the Hungaroring. And Stephen, not the easiest of tracks for me, at least.
No, definitely a tricky circuit to deal with. And, well, it's going to be an interesting one to see how the drivers are going to handle it. Last night we saw with the Sprint Series, the guys had an absolute ball, having a bit of fun. But we over the halfway mark now. We into the longer racing. We are now officially going into the remaining bits of the championship. Round number 5 at Hungaroring. But while we're talking about this, Janneman, why don't you take us through a lap of the circuit before we go into what's happening with our standings?
Certainly do. And this week I think we've got the local, is it Text While You Drive driver, Mr. Jan Kleinans, that's going to take us around for a lap. Right, starting it out on the pit straight, you need to hit your brake marker very carefully, as the first corner is almost call it a hairpin, very tight right-hander, get the car swung in onto that apex, struggling to get the power down through there. Now you run through under the bridge, spot the rumble strips on the right-hand side. This corner we've seen a couple of drivers taking different lines. Jan keeping it very tight to the left-hand side to open up this right-hander to go flat out through here. Now, next corner, very interesting. It's actually a blind left-hander. You need to spot your brake marker on the right-hand side, get the car swung in, take as much of that curb as you dare. Do not run wide because you are immediately into this long right-hander. Trying to get the power down the back, stepping out of the Honda a little bit. Now, the chicane. Take as much of these curbs as you dare without unsettling the car. The Honda traveling beautifully over those curbs. Now, here comes the tricky inner field section, so to call this. Third sector, very tight left-hander into the right-hander. Again, the backing of that Honda complaining a little bit. Through the left-hander, down a gear. Then, don't let the car understeer too wide and take too much of that exit curb. Very tight right-hander coming up, spotting the brake marker on the left-hand side. Get the nose swung in, don't run too wide. This corner has always been a bit tricky for me because there's no certain brake mark on this left-hander, so very easy to get wrong, and also very easy to lose the rear end of the car through here. Now, this last corner, never-ending right-hander. You need to wait on that throttle to get on the power, feed it in gently so the rear end does not step out, and on to the finish straight, and that is a lap of Hungaroring.
A very, very tricky circuit to deal with, but now we're going to be moving into the qualifying session. But while we're here, let's actually take a recap of what's happening, because there's been a bit of talk out on Facebook of the championship. Guys worrying about Philip Minnaar and Cody Sherritt saying, hold my drink, watch this.
Well, I'm actually going to read you the Facebook post. It says, and this is on the RaceFace Facebook site, it says, remember when no one had trust that Philip Minnaar could be caught? I think I said something like that last week. We just had to wait for someone to hold Cody Sherritt's beer, it seems. Now, looking at the championship quickly, out in front, Philip Minnaar on 143 points, together with Mr. Cody Sherritt on 143. So tied for the lead in first place. So, Stephen, that changed quite drastically from last week. Second place, or third place we can call it, is Daniel Rowe on 139. Fourth place, Bega Grobler on 120. And then fifth place, Mac van der Merwe on 110 points. So the top 5 in this championship, Stephen, you can say with 4 races to go is still very close.
It's going to be an interesting one. So far, quickest set lap time was Cody Sherritt, 142.8. And then we got Ronaldo Busma going and driving around, and he's got the girl next to his car, so I've just got to really quote what he said in driver's briefing was, ooh, as he goes on by. Third place is Philip Minnaar, who's hoping to better himself. Now, if you remember what happened in round number 4, Philip Minnaar had a terrible race. He landed up falling further and further down the field. Whatever could go wrong was going wrong for the Aston Martin. He puts it into second place. Now, Ryan Ottens has been on a consistent charge. He's in fourth place, hoping to get a little bit more pace. Christian Deploy going around, the ATK driver, going to be representing. He also mentions that the Merc is struggling with these tires, so keep an eye out on the 80k drivers. They're going to be working really, really hard. We've got Sunjin Pillay in the Ferrari, followed by Tini Nkube, who's been on a hot charge and also been tied for points before round number 5 in the sprint series. Had a good race the last time, so he's heading out. Mac van der Merwe, as you went and rightfully said, has really been putting on a hard charge and hoping to claw his way back up through the top. He's in 8th place. Christopher Radloff as well in 9th. Justin Lotus in 10th. Christopher Radloff is actually getting his father-in-law's car's ready to go out driving this weekend at Swartkorp. So he's going to be doubling up his efforts. Justin Lotus in 10th, Tian Elof in 11th. 12th is Morgan McCaw. Glad to see Morgan back out on the circuit last night. Couldn't make it for the power failure. He's been running into power failures every race so far, but back out to the circuit and is in 12th place. I mean, well, dropping into 13th, but he's really trying to go and step up the game at the moment, which is good. Dropping into 14th as Nicholas Manuel comes across the line. Cameron de Bastos in 15th. Bego Krobler in 16th, battling with that Audi. Gideon Rayner in 17th. 18th is the Hitman, Daniel de Villiers, locked, loaded, and missile torpedo to go and try and eliminate the field. He's using the Gunter strategy of, if there isn't cars on the circuit, don't worry about them. Then he's got Brandon Kruger a little bit further down, Logue Randable, along with Peter Mayer, who is going out onto the circuit. Good to see the 15-year-old having a bit of fun. And Andre Serradio from Project Vapor as well. 23 cars making it this evening, and I think we're in for an absolutely brilliant run for the line.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, but interesting to see, Stephen. There's a couple of guys like Bago and so forth that are, Bago currently in 17th position. I think he's still got some work to do in qualifying. I'm sure at this stage of qualifying, with about 5 minutes left, there is still time to be had in these cars. I mean, the track is starting to get rubbered in now. It's starting to get quicker out there, so I think we're going to see those times dropping still. I don't think Cody Sherritt will sit too comfortably out in front. I think even him will have to go out for another run and try and get that lap time even lower to secure that pole position in front of Philip Minor. I'm very sure Philip is going to start chasing after Cody, or even try and get in front of him very quickly in this race to try and build his lead in the championship that you mentioned. All his hard work basically went to dust in the previous race.
I'll also take a look at the penalties that came out from the likes of Indianapolis, and I see that Daniel de Villiers has served his race ban, so that's why he's allowed back out. The Hitman was released from jail, so there we go. Daniel de Villiers, who
like Facebook jail.
Well, just a little bit more a racing, a racing problem. Andre Serradio, unfortunately, he landed up with 30 seconds at the end as well, and Christian Deploy landed up with a 30-second added onto his time after Indianapolis. So a couple of people who felt the wrath of our stewards, our COCs. Big shout out and a big thank you to our admin, our media guys, and also a big shout out to our stewards that they've been taking a fair amount of abuse. Let's not put it out there. We've all sent messages. We can't even go about it.
They're not always our favorite people, Sometimes we like them, sometimes we don't.
So, also a couple of guys jumping into the chat. Good to see them returning, and the likes of Daniels Dematros Petro saying good luck to everyone for the race tonight. And it actually landed up with a couple of people having good little comments about Cameron, and the Ferrari driver landed up with getting called Domestos in the chat last night, so guys are taking a little bit of a stab at him.
So if they call him Domestos, what are they going to call Daniel?
Well, the Hitman is really trying to do whatever he can at this point, but...
No, I'm talking about Daniel de Matos Preto. And Daniel, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Robert Wentworth as well going and supporting Tariq Adam. Good to see Tariq Adam. And also A little bit of a shout out to Tariq Adam, who's getting to live the dream. He's not racing this evening, but is racing, and a big congratulations in the Toyota Yaris GR. He actually had his first outing not so long ago, so well done to Tariq Adam, one of our drivers that did come from RaceFace and from last season's Sim to Real with the Genesis Extreme, so good to see him. Mr. B saying, unfortunately, no power, so he's going to be out of it as well. So, a couple of people joining in the YouTube land, a couple of people in Twitch. So, if you're on Twitch, go and look up Middle State and follow, subscribe, be part of it. You don't want to miss all the amazing competitions there. And if you're out here in YouTube land for the world of RaceFace.pro, feel free to hit the subscribe. We're 173 away from hitting 1,000 subscribers. But while we're talking about that, let's take a look at who's in first with 1 minute to go. Cody Sherritt in first place, Philip Minnar in second place, Ryan Ottens in third, Bago Krobler in fourth, fifth place, Christian Deploy, Mac van der Merwe in sixth, seventh is Sanjin Pillay, Ronaldo Buesma going and heading out in eighth place, Tian Ilov in ninth, and 10th is Johan the Texter Kleinans. This man has to be sponsored by any cell phone company that's sending data. He's the only person I know that goes and decides to that's
not even text and that's not even text and drive. That's text and race that he's doing.
No, it's
taking
liberties.
He doesn't even have a hands-free kit.
No, he actually admits he just goes and texts while driving, which is even more frightening. But yeah, we'll have to see how it works out. But some great times being put in. 142.5 for Cody Sherritt. Philip Minnar, 142.9 as his quickest time. Ryan Ottens, 143.03. Bago Krobler, 143.1. Christian Deploy, 143.2. For Ronaldo Buesma, who's currently mowing the lawn, going and doing a 143.25 as his quickest lap time. So the grid is so close between all the drivers, and it leaves you wondering what's going to happen, because we've now passed the halfway mark. We've beyond the world of trying to get it right. It's now every point counts for the championship. To be the champion of the Grid Season 2 Championship, brought to you by Middle State and RaceFace, you cannot hold back. You're going to have to take the gloves off. You're going to have to roll up those sleeves and get stuck in. You can't take things cautiously. You're going to have to really push as hard as you can. Thoughts on this, Janeman? I mean, you've seen the championship of how close it is. You actually went through it, and a little bit of fighting words now being spoken between the drivers, not only in the Discord, but now out on social media such as Facebook going and saying, I'm coming.
I mean, exactly. We had a discussion earlier on in the series or in the championship where you're figuring out who you're battling for the championship. At this stage, you know exactly who you're battling. We know it's between Cody Sherritt, Philip Minnar, the likes of Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe is in there. So that top five is certainly still battling for that championship. Not to say that somebody cannot still come through in the last four races to take that championship away from the top five, but certainly Cody and Philip know they are battling each other out in front.
It's going to be an incredible one, and honestly, it's going to be an incredible one to see how the guys are going to be able to claw their way through. Where are they going to make the advantage? Where is the advantage going to be had for any of these drivers? And it's bragging rights right down to the line. It's who's going to be able to take home the trophy in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, that is the sole goal of this race, is to just come down to who is the best that is going to be out today.
Yes, and on that front row, we've got Cody Sherritt in first place, Ryan Ottens in second. Ryan still has something to say about this championship. He's going to take the fight to Cody Sherritt, Philip Minnar. Bago Krobler sitting in fourth. But Stephen, where's Daniel Rowe tonight?
Unfortunately, I don't see Daniel Rowe, but I do think Daniel Rowe is also trying to get ready for this weekend because he's actually going to be doing some real racing. So one wonders, is he taking a bit of a drop round tonight, which is going to hurt the championship a little bit, but focusing on trying to get the real racing sorted, come back next week in an all-out slugfest, knowing that he's going to be on the back foot?
I mean, absolutely. This can open the door for the likes of Ryan Ottens, Christian Deploy, Christopher Radloff, basically all those guys, even Sanjan Pillay, to, make their way into that top 5 and take the fight to the likes of Cody Sherritt and Philip Minor, who is currently out in front. I also think Bago, currently 4th, he's going to try and make the impact tonight because his teammate is not there. So, he's not going to have a racing buddy on track. So he's definitely, knowing Bago, going to take the fight to the rest of the field.
It's going to be incredible stuff, and it's going to be a difficult race for everyone. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you haven't joined us before, get ready to have some fun. Mandatory 2 pit stops, 1 hour and 20 minutes to make it stick. Let's see who's going to take home the checkered flag as we get ready to rock and roll. Cody Sherritt leading out the field, 70 k's now, warmed up those tyres ever so slightly, brakes ever so slightly, and into a turn 1 is going to be a very, very difficult one as all the cars gear up, waiting for the green. Jim waiting to call it out. Green, 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 and away we go. And it does look like Ryan Otten's getting the jump. He quickly closes the door over the likes of Cody Sherritt. Cody cutting out. Bago Krobler trying to get into the toe. Philip Minor trying to go on the brakes, and he has got the likes of Christopher Radloff all around him. Mac van der Merwe getting pushed out a little bit wide. All looking okay so far. All the drivers making their way through. Take a look at Mac van der Merwe itching to get past Ronaldo Busmo, going around the outside like a trooper with the McLaren, hoping that he could get the run. And Sanjan Pillay having a little bit of a scuffle with the likes of Tian Elof and Morgan McCall also into the fray of the battle. So, some amazing start to the race. Christian Deploy looking to hold back Philip Minor. Philip trying to go hard under the brakes, and you can see he's doing everything he can. He's got Christopher Radloff chasing him down with a BMW, focusing on the hard charge a little bit further back. We do have Mac van der Merwe trying to pull away from Ronald Bosma, who's got Sanjan Pillay all over him. Morgan McCall seeing his teammate ahead. Tian Elof wanting to also have a shot at his teammate. Nicholas Manuel, along with Loic Randable, Tini Nkube, Johan Kleinans, Gideon Reyna also having a slight tussle with one another, but some amazing battles. But right out for the front, Ryan Ottens, who got the jump on Cody Sherritt, now trying to hold this first place for the first lap as they make their way around, disappearing underneath the sign. And what an amazing start to the race, and exactly what he wanted, to just get the leap off the line to try and run away for this first place. But an hour and 20 minutes is a long race. Mandatory 2 pit stops, and Sanjan Pillay going very, very slow, getting overtaken quite a bit. There's a contact, though, between himself and Tian Elof, and well, life got interesting for everyone, it seems. So let's take a look from our helicam what exactly happened to the likes of Sanjan Pillay in the Ferrari. He has got McCall on the back of him, gives him a first tap, braking, and Tian Elof getting caught into the mess as Morgan tries to just slow down enough. It compounds the issue. Everyone coming by. Kleinans lands up, giving a slight knock to Elof, and Reyna getting involved in a bit of a tussle there. Brandon Kruger gets turned around, and wow, not quite the way that you wanted the start to go, but it kind of just happened.
Yeah, I think that was more a case of the one accident led to the next, and I actually wanted to mention Morgan McCall. I mean, he started the race in 14th, and he's made his way basically in the course of one lap from 14th up until 10th position. So he has made up 4 positions on the first lap, but out in front, we've got Cody Sherritt and Ryan Otten slugging it out. I mean, Cody is not letting Ryan get away. He's right on the rear bumper of that Porsche as they go through this tight and twisty little section. This is not really a place even in the lap where you can facilitate a pass. Very risky to do so. So it's more a case of trying to get as close as possible to the car in front. Maybe, on that pit straight to get in that toe and get past, or maybe second last corner, third last corner. But as we've seen on the lap before, things tend to get a little bit risky through there as the cars run too close together. Now we're having a look at Bego Grobler, and he's got Christian de Ploy and Philip Minnaar all over the back of him. So, a little bit of double pressure for Bego at this moment, but on the other hand, helping him a little bit, the fact that Christian de Ploy has got Philip Minnaar behind him, and as we see Cody Sherritt actually having a look on the outside, trying to go past Ryan Ottens, but did not manage to make the pass stick.
Now, lots of little scuffles, lots of little battles around.
We're gonna be busy tonight.
It's gonna be a challenging one. We've seen the guys run so close to one another, and it looks like Cody Sherritt and Ryan Ottens are trying to push each other away from the rest of the field, knowing that they need to step it up a little bit to get away from it. And Cody Sherritt leaving no space between himself and Ryan Ottens, trying to pressurize that Porsche into a mistake at this moment. And it's all about what they can do. So the G2 driver hoping to just get a little bit more pace underneath them. They got to be careful of a little chicane, which you see a couple of the cars trying to do. And I think based on what we saw in practice and based on what we saw last night's race, drive-throughs are going to happen for exceeding track limits. You add that on top of the 2 mandatory pit stop, you're in for a rough time around Hungaroring.
Especially the turn you see the cars going through now. Once those tires start going, and Hungaroring is heavy on the front tires due to the fact that the track is so tight and twisty in that back section. Running wide through there, understeer, track limits, as you mentioned, certainly going to become an issue through there, I think.
It's going to be one to keep an eye out for. But remember, they've got...
Was it Christian de Ploy in the pits?
That looks like it is Christian de Ploy. So he's doing an early pit stop to try and get it right out of the way. Pit window just open. That's going to drop him miles down the field. But maybe taking just get the first pit stop out the way. He's not the only one with the thought, as Johan Kleinant's going for an early pit stop as well. Gideon Rayner, Esther Hayes gone as well. Brandon Kruger, Gideon Rayner, Brandon Kruger, Tion Elof, everyone further down, diving into the pits, going for that early get rid of the pit stop moment.
Yeah, Christian de Ploy was, he was up the field. He was the first one with that idea. So chances might be that Christian can get some clear air. As for the rest, Kleinans, Renner, Esterhazy, Pillay, Kruger, Elof, I don't think they're going to get the clear air that Christian might be getting, but keeping an eye on the battle here in the front, these two are not letting up. Cody still stuck to the back bumper of that Porsche, still following him around. Stephen, and I think at this stage, what you said earlier, maybe Cody is trying to force Ryan into a mistake, but Ryan, very wise, I don't think if that might be a strategy that's going to work on him necessarily.
Now that's when you fold the mirrors in, you concentrate on your race, let it happen behind you, and I think both these drivers are going to pace one another out and focus on just keeping tires alive. Bego Grobler and Philip Minnaar, though, on the other hand, doing the opposite, as Philip Minnaar constantly trying to get underneath Bego Grobler and really force him out wide. The Aston Martin trying to battle it out with the Audi, and Bego just keeping a little bit more settled. Philip Minnaar trying to get a little bit more aggressive, and knowing that the championship is in jeopardy at the moment, he needs to go for that very, very hot charge to get past and get into the battle with Cody Sherritt and Ryan Ottens. He tries his luck, looks, but doesn't go for it. But just a warning sign to Bego of, listen, I'm coming through whether you like it or not. As we jump back up to Cody Sherritt and Ryan Ottens, take a look. Cody looking around the outside of the Porsche. Is he going to make it stick? Ryan Ottens running him out a little bit wide. Cody having to back down and just letting him know that he's around. And I think this is what we're going to expect from all the drivers. Even if you go a little bit further back, you've got Nicholas Manuel, Morgan McCall going at one another. It's a Mercedes versus BMW battle. And once again, Morgan McCall trying to go and pressurize, maybe a bit of team communication, saying, listen, give me a bit of room. I'm going to have a good go at it. So that's possibly the team communication between the ATK Academy boys, hoping to try and figure out what can be done. Cody Sherritt with the fastest lap time of the race so far, 1:43.142. Ryan Ottens, 1:43.192 as his quickest lap time. So a little bit of pace underneath Cody Sherritt compared to Ryan Ottens. Not huge, but is enough to start sending a little bit of warning bells going off in Ryan Otten's mind of maybe I've got to be a little bit careful as we may have an overtake. Bego Krobler and Philip Minos still duking it out between the two of them and having a grand time. And just seeing the battle just ahead, maybe the thought process coming in of let's rather keep each other pace, let's focus on what we need to do and try and keep the cars all together, getting him across the line. It does look like Cody Sherritt running a little less aero and he's able to get a little bit more straight line, but Ryan Ottens is just making his car wide enough to force Cody Sherritt out onto the outside line, hoping that maybe, just maybe, it's going to be enough to hold back the little Honda and not allow VTEC to kick in.
Yeah, Alan Patterson, our fellow commentator and friend on YouTube, actually says, Cody should actually pit now and undercut Ryan, because Alan believes that Cody is being held up. And Stephen, looking at the footage, Cody really trying to get past that Porsche. It does seems like Ryan is holding him up a little bit, but Ryan not holding back. He's taking the fight to Cody. He does not want him to get past. So pitting might be a strategy in order for Cody to get past if he indeed is being held up.
Well, it's one thing to look at, and a little bit further down, Cameron DeBastos and Andre Serradio are going at each other, hammer and tongs. Just a shout out on the Middle State Twitch channel. Just seeing that the name is incorrect and what game is being used. So do apologize for that one. And it will be sorted out by the admin very, very soon. But welcome to everyone for the Middle State Grid Championship. Season 2, can you believe it? Round number 5, all the chaos happening. It is going to be absolutely incredible to see how the guys are going to battle their way through. What's going to happen? Who's going to be able to take the win come the end of the season? Well, we're going to find out. It's an 8-race season. We're on round number 5. After tonight, 3 more races to make it stick. And it's all down to the wire of who's going to be able to walk away with the bragging rights and who's going to walk away with a prize.
Yeah, I think it's a mental thing, Stephen. But as soon as you start moving to race 6, it kind of feels like the season is starting to draw to a close, and it's really starting to get crunch time. You really need to make that move if you want to finish well in this championship.
It's definitely where you got to try and figure out, and just taking a look through the field, everyone's starting to split up a little bit more. Guys starting to take it a little bit more patiently. Other than our leaders, Cody Sherritt and Ryan Ottens, Tenny and Kube and Justin Lotus are also having a good go at one another. Hoping to just try and get a little bit more pace underneath. And they're going after Loic Randabel in the Porsche. Been on a incredible charge and hoping that it will just be enough to get that Porsche around the line. I think he's getting close to drive-through zone and getting a warning once or twice.
Yeah, that rear end of that Porsche also looks a bit lively. It almost got out of control as he got out of that chicane.
Talk about going lively. Cameron DeBastos actually going and landing up with a problem. Let's take a look. This was all by himself, though, and I got a funny feeling that the curb bit the Ferrari and caused it to over-rotate.
That chicane, maybe.
Quite possibly. It did look like it. So making his way around, hard onto the brakes, trying to keep it all together. You can see the nose squirreling down. Ooh. There's a rotation under braking and into the dirt. And, well, we used to seeing stallions going and grazing in the fields. Well, the Ferrari doing the same.
Yeah, just not so used to stallions doing donuts in the field, are we?
Oh, I think I'm going to get taken out by the Ferrari lovers. That's for certain.
There's a couple of them. There's 3 Ferrari drivers in the field tonight. So, Steve, if they're watching the stream afterwards, you might get 1 or 2 nasty messages. But, it's all part of the game.
Just say you're a Red Bull fan and you'll instantly get taken out. So, Ryan Otten's in first place. Cody Sherritt trying to chase him down. Does look like the gap has opened up a bit. Cody Sherritt playing a little bit of yo-yo to the back of Ryan Ottens. They have backed off in pace. Ryan Ottens 143.0. Cody Sherritt 142.935. That was actually his best lap time the last time around. So, just trying to give himself a little bit of spacing to this man over here, focusing on a bit of a longer race possibly, trying to keep the tires going. And, well, as was proven in the last race, we got to point it out, a set of tires can last. Daniel Rowe went and actually was one of the few drivers that showed that you don't need to change tires. Is that going to be an impact for tonight's race, where the guys are going to choose not to go and have a tire change? They're going to focus on fuel and try and get their tires to the end. Philip Minnaar, though, interesting enough, bailing into the pits. So he's getting his first pit stop done. That's dropping him a little bit down. Christopher Radloff says, thank you very much. I'll keep going. Mac van der Merwe as well coming by. Nicholas Manuel, thumbs up, along with Morgan McCall. But Philip Minnaar, we've seen this before. And, well, he's close enough to make something stick. But will it be the right strategy?
Yeah, well, I think that we're still too early in the race. I mean, we're not even 20 minutes into the race. So I think, Stephen, at this stage, unfortunately, we don't have eyes all over the track. We can't see exactly in what situation or each and every driver is in terms of fuel, tires, and all of those kind of things. It would have been lovely to have that, but obviously Philip Minnaar, deciding to put a little bit earlier, not as early as the likes of Christian de Ploy, and as Robert Wentworth said on YouTube, Christian de Ploy at this stage is in net first place, but I think that net first place has been taken away from him by Philip Minnaar, currently now in 13th place.
It's going to be a very interesting battle to see how it goes. Morgan McCall and Nicholas Manuel, they are super close to one another. This is another thing I want to chat about, because last night the guys were going out with the Merc and the BMW and started complaining of heavy understeer towards the end of the race. After about 45 minutes, the front engine cars have worn down the front left side so much that they were battling to swing the car in. They were battling to get a little bit of movement in. And both the BM and the Mercedes dealt with the same issue. The Hondas were incredibly loose, which Cody Sherritt's going to be feeling. Ryan Ottens in the Porsche, a lot of the Porsche drivers were battling with understeer happening as well. So this is where it gets so close to one another, and where these tires are going to drop off. Where is the grip going to start dropping off, and how you're going to have to alter your driving style is going to be another factor for all these drivers to start trying to work out, especially as we're nearly having 20 minutes done of the race, so 3 more minutes, and we've done 20 minutes of absolute brute force racing for a lot of the field. It's all or nothing. Guys are starting to do those early pit stops, and where they're going to come out, well, no one actually knows of how this is all going to turn out, because the moment that we think we got it, something happens. Something goes awry. Someone lands up with a different strategy, and that's what we've seen all season long. Highs, lows, thrills, spills, all of it coming to a head right here in the Grid Championship.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I see Morgan McCall did make his way past Nicholas Manuel, but coming back to your tire story, Stephen, if your tires start going after 45 minutes, depending on your driver style, it might not be a bad idea to do that half race pit stop, get new tires on the car, and have the best of both worlds, have the best of tires throughout the race that you can possibly have. But, we don't know what type of testing some of these guys have done. Might be that they found out if you change your driving style just a little bit and you hang back just a little bit throughout the race, you can actually make your tires last, like what Daniel Rowe did at Indianapolis.
It's going to be an interesting one for all the drivers to try and figure out what's going to be the best advantage. A couple of things that did happen where the drivers were complaining about, while we see Tini Incube and Justin Lotus, and this actually happened to Incube and also to the like of De Villiers, where they tried figuring out where they used 1 extra liter more than planned. And, well, for anyone that does motor racing, well, even if you're not involved in motor racing, When you're driving down the highway and you see your fuel gauge, your light comes on, and you go, I know my car. I'm going to make it. And suddenly, you don't quite know your car.
Yeah, I mean, and anybody that is involved in motor racing know that we sometimes use 2-liter Coke bottles to fill up race cars to measure the fuel.
Regardless of that, a lot of these drivers are running it to empty. They're running these tanks dead dry.
That's exactly what
They're hoping to just get across the line, not a lap more, not a lap less. When you're in a fight like this, you got your foot absolutely firmly to the ground, and you're starting to get the tunnel vision. I mean, this is the view. How you do not get tunnel vision chasing after your competitor, or if you're in Ryan Otten's case, check his rearview mirror. There is Cody Sherritt. He's going to be keeping an eye on that and seeing where Cody is, trying to anticipate moves. How you do not get tunnel vision and realize, maybe the fuel usage is a tad high. Maybe my visit to the 93 pump was a little too short. That 100 Rand didn't get me as far as I thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's exactly what you said. I mean, they put an exact amount. They measure this fuel to the liter, and they put that exact amount in. And as you referred to just now, very easy to lose track of that when you get involved in a battle like this. And then, without you even realizing it, just use that little bit too much fuel, and that might come back to bite you a little bit later on because you didn't do the fuel management that you had to do throughout the race. Having a look at Christian Deploy now, currently in 13th place. Steve, it does actually look like the pit stop didn't work out too badly for him. Philip Minnar in 14th place, a couple of seconds behind. So he does have a little bit of clear air, and then, you've got Sanjan Pillay in front of him. So maybe pit stop strategy of pitting that early, not too bad an idea. We'll have to see later in the race, in the last half an hour, 20 minutes, how it works out for him.
Well, currently the lap times, if you look at it, Ryan Otten's 1:43.1, Cody Sherritt 1:43.0, so slightly faster. Vago Krubler 1:44, Christopher Radloff 1:43.7, Mac van der Merwe 43.6, Morgan McCall 43.7, Nicholas Manuel 44.06, Loic Randabel doing 1:44.2, Justin Lotus 1:44.9, Tini Nkube 1:44.8. So we're starting to see the guys jumping between 1:44, 1:43 averages as they slug it out. Cody Sherritt being the only driver to actually stick in a 1:42.9 as his quickest lap time. His last lap time, 1:43.2.7, pushing Ryan Otten's, trying to force a mistake out of him. Once again, backing off, focusing on what needs to be done, and coming right back in as hard as possible.
Yeah, but coming back to our YouTube chat, Alan says Cody should pit like in now, and I'm going to agree with Alan on that one. I do think Cody is being held up and driving so close to that Porsche in front of him. Stephen, don't you think he's hurting those front tires, maybe even the rear tires a little bit? So pitting for Cody at this stage might not be a bad option, because my question is, how long can you go on like this, staying that close behind Ryan Otten's?
I'm not 100% sure, and it's taking a very, very risky gamble. For any of the drivers that are keeping so close to one another, you're forcing a possible mistake to yourself and not only just your competitors. And that's the gamble you take. And sitting on the sidelines, if you're a team manager, if you're a spectator, anyone looking at it, you're busy saying something needs to be done. You're trying to talk to these drivers. Even the team managers are shouting at their drivers. I know Andre Serradio's got his team manager in his ear telling him lap after lap what to do. All the teams out here are trying to figure out what's going to be the right thing. But let's be honest, the main race comes down to the person behind the wheel. And that's where it makes life far more interesting.
Robert Wentworth on the chat actually making a very valid point. Maybe Cody will be in traffic then, which is quite possibly the case. Quickly, Luke Addison wanting to know what lap times Minor and Deploy is doing. Luke, Philip Minor's last lap time was a 43.4 and Christian's last lap time was a 144 dead. So that's the lap times they are doing at this stage. But sticking to this battle out in front, I mean, Stephen Cody is just sticking to the rear bumper of that Porsche, and I'm just thinking to myself, what type of aero wash is he picking up? And I've mentioned it before, what damage is it doing to his tires driving that close to Ryan?
Now, I think it's definitely a rough one, but let's see if I can get through to Cody and just let him know what's being said.
Cody, you just reports from Alan Patterson, you need to pit. Cody, if you could hear me. Cody, I think you can pit now, anytime. Alan has said you need a pit because you're getting held up. Stop getting the tunnel vision.
Did that work?
I was actually waiting for the feedback of leave me alone, I know what I'm doing.
That's coming. It's definitely coming. Rest assured. You never tell a driver what to do. You're going to land up in a world of hurt. But I know Kleinans at this point probably...
I'm laughing at Alan's feedback to your message there on the chat.
I'm just giving radio...
Well, that didn't work.
I tried. I do apologize.
Right.
I do apologize, guys.
Going back to Christian Deploy, who has... No, you're going back to Cody Sherritt, but I wanted to mention Christian Deploy has closed up to Sanjan Pillay, but in turn he's got Philip Minor closing in on him. So this is very quickly developing into as we see Christian closing right up to Sanjan there, and Philip Minor in close proximity. So Stephen, this is very quickly turning into a 3-car battle, and these drivers will have to race in such a way not to hold each other up. I think Philip will have to try and get past Christian and Sanjan if he can as quickly as possible to try and move up that field to get as close as possible to Cody Sherritt and Ryan Ottens.
Well, just think about it. Christian Deploy is first of the guys that have done pit stops. Philip Minor is second. Sanjan has not done his first pit stop. He's focusing on the charge now. He's in a race for his own championship. Doesn't mind these two behind him and is going, listen, I'm going to drive my race. You front engine lot have to try and figure out getting past me. Your big V8s that are front engines are going to try and shout at my horse, but I'm going to make sure to gallop away from you guys.
Well, he's also got a V8.
He's making it stick. And driving a very, very wide car at the moment. Christian Deploy trying to go underneath it. But you can see Philip Minor also looking left, looking right, trying to figure out what's going to be the right idea. How can he get past? And it just takes the door to be slightly open, a crack of a bit of space. And you can see chasing him down. Christian Deploy tried baiting Sanjan into a move, going around the outside, looking for the cutback. If he could get underneath that Ferrari, he's trying to get the power on. Philip Minor trying to come back at him. Philip Minor, who is on the brakes, sending it from the left. I mean, that's sending it from 3 countries back, and definitely put a postage stamp and licked it and sent it, but just didn't have enough distance for that one. Maybe got to try a different delivering service.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for the Daniel Ricciardo move through that corner where Deploy and Sanjan battling it out and Minor just taking it on the inside and going past both of them, but that didn't happen. But Philip Minor putting serious pressure now on Christian Deploy. I mean, Christian is now, he's in the middle of the sandwich. He's trying to attack Sanjan Pillay, but at the same time getting attacked from Minor. And as we have a look at the front split, the rear wing, I mean, that's very close front and rear. Philip Minor not holding back, following as closely as possible through the section. Aero was definitely a factor through here. Don't run too wide and pick up those drive-through penalties, as we mentioned earlier on. Closing right up under the brakes. Steve, that was a couple of millimeters between those cars.
I think the brake pedal went a little bit further than planned on that one. And Philip Minor up on the inside, trying to get underneath him. Couldn't make it stick as Christian Deploy really just kept his foot on the throttle but that's allowed Sanjin Pillay to start opening up a little bit of a gap. But it seems like the Merc and the Aston can brake a little bit harder than the Ferrari at the moment as they slug their way through. Christian trying to bait a move, not able to make it happen just as yet, but is trying everything he can, but hunting down the likes of Sanjin. All he wants to do is get out of being piggy in the middle. Philip Minnaar is going, come on guys, what do I need to do to chase down the guys in front? What do I need to do to get myself high enough to go fighting with these guys? My championship is on the line.
Yeah, and the more time he spends behind these two, I think the more time he's losing, because having a look at those lap times, I mean, Philip Minnaar, Christian De Plooy and Sanjin Pillay, but all three of them, their last lap times was in the 1 minute 45s. And, you know, while the leaders, Ryan Ottens and Cody Sherrans, are in the 1 minute 43s. Oh, it looks like Philip Minnaar ran wide to skip the chicane there. Definitely outbraking himself a little bit. Almost seems like Philip Minnaar at this stage is starting to get a little bit frustrated. He wants to get past De Plooy, past Sanjin Pillay to set his sights on the two leaders. But at this stage, he cannot make it stick.
Well, take a look. Ryan Ottens into the pit. That's allowed Cody Sherrod to break away. And while we're keeping an eye on this battle, Bego Krobler takes second place. Christopher Radloff. So Ryan Ottens dropping further down the field. Now the interesting part is he going to get going before this pack starts catching up and gets around him? So how much fuel or tires is he taking? Christian De Plooy tried going around the outside, getting a little bit hopeful to make that car stick, and Sanjin just hanging the tail out on the Ferrari, killed his drive. Here comes Philip Minnaar.
It's going to be close.
You want to talk about a three-way battle? Piggy in the middle into turn one. Ryan Ottens seeing it, and oh my heavens, Christian De Plooy making it stick. Philip Minnaar coming by. Sanjin getting chucked all the way down. Now it's got Ryan Ottens doing what he can, and Sanjin outbreaks himself. Ryan Ottens says, thank you very much. I will happily come past you there. I know what you can do. And now has got Christian De Plooy and Philip Minnaar just ahead of him. Sanjin is not giving up the fight, though. He wants to keep up the battle. But it didn't end in tears, but there were words being said. Breath was being held. Someone went blue in the face while trying to make the move stick.
Absolutely. I mean, and now, you know, once they got past Sanjin Pillay, now we've got the fight between Christian De Plooy, Philip Minnaar, and Ryan Ottens. And I'm very much, or pretty sure, Ryan Ottens is going to get in that rearview mirror of Philip Minnaar and go, hi, remember me?
Ryan Ottens, also known as Mr. Hottens, is hoping not to have cold feet when he comes to this dance, and is on a monstrous charge to go after Philip Minnaar. Philip Minnaar taking a look and going, my championship is on the line here, and here is Ryan Ottens. He may have pitted a little bit too early for his first pit stop, but now they all roughly on the same strategy.
Now.
And take a look. Ryan Ottens did put in a little bit more fuel. He had 16.2 in the box, no tire change. Philip Minnaar, 5.6. Christian De Plooy, 5.4. No tire changes between the three.
Now, Stephen, this little battle that we've got between De Plooy, Minnaar, and Ottens, this is playing right into the hands of Cody Sherrod.
Now, Cody Sherrod opening up a 9.5 second away from second place, and well, now this is when you get on the megaphone and start shouting and saying, listen, mate, you've got to now stand on the gas, get going, run away, because you didn't pit previously. You need to try and focus on your charge now.
Well, at this stage, Cody Sherrod by far almost a second the quickest car on track. Last lap time, 1 minute 43.5, where all the rest of the cars were in the mid 1 minute 44. So I think definitely he heard that message of Alan over the YouTube chat of, you know, it's now hammer time.
The PA system worked.
Yeah.
Just want to point out, the school PA system worked.
But having a look at this little battle we've got going on here, does this mean that actually Christian De Plooy is in net second place? Because I'm pretty sure if Cody Sherrod pits now, he'll get out in front of Christian De Plooy. But, Ryan Ottens was leading the race. As you said, he had a slightly longer pit stop. He is now basically running in net 4th position. So you can almost say at this stage, this is a battle for 2nd place.
You paying homage to saying net 2nd place and net 1st place? Is that
Yes,
that's what's happening?
Well, actually, it was Mr. Robert Wentworth that started it in the chat. So, we're just paying it forward.
Just being the voice of the people in that regard.
The voice of the people, yeah.
Okay.
Speak for the people.
Philip Minard trying to go up on the inside of Christian Deploy. Ryan Otts is also getting involved in the battle, trying to get a little bit more pace. And while Christian Deploy is in the battle, he's got his teammate way up at the front, 1.5 seconds behind Christopher Radloff. And you can be sure some radio communication is happening between the ATK drivers saying, listen, okay, how's your tires feeling? How's the car feeling? What's going to be the strategy here, considering of where everyone is in the field? And now you've got the likes of Christian Deploy, Philip Minard, Ryan Ottens, who are relatively in the same place, and all it takes is one pit stop to change it, one move to actually change it. You can see Philip Minard, who was on a monstrously aggressive charge, trying to outbrake Ryan Ottens, though, deciding that the Porsche needs to go and do a bit of crop dusting and to get involved in the battle, and we turned into a 3-horse race. Well, that just changes it completely, and whatever strategy you were thinking of doing, forget it.
Yeah. I mean, these three are all over each other. I mean, sometimes you can't even distinguish the cars on the shot, as we see Ryan Ottens. Philip Minard just know that he's there. I don't think he was really looking to get past there. Now looking on the inside, but not close enough to make it stick. Christian Deploy coping brilliantly with the pressure, as we see Minard running a little bit wide, and it looks like Minard is in the pits. That releases Ryan Ottens to go after Christian Deploy, but Stephen, I think he's lost a little bit of time in this battle, and I think Cody Sherritt, he received that message. What did they say on the Ferrari pit wall? You can push now.
Tires question.
Yeah. as long as they don't say come in, stay out. No, come in, stay out.
Make up the mind. Come on.
Yeah.
The hitman Daniel De Villiers going after Tinian Kube and trying to get locked and loaded. These two have slugged it out before and looking to do it all again. So Daniel De Villiers trying everything he can to get a little bit more run up on the back of this BMW. But now we're into the strategizing. We're beyond the likes of the 45 minutes. We're beyond the halfway mark. And this is where you start trying to figure out what's going to be the right move. How are you going to get by? Christian Deploy going and checking He's checking the suspension if there's enough lift on it. And I wonder what that's actually doing to the tires. What's it doing to the cars? Ryan Ottens is also following close enough. I mean, if we go jump onto the helmet cam of Ryan Ottens, this is what he could see. So the time you know when to brake is, well, when the other person's lights come on, you got to try and guess it out and try not get the tunnel vision at this point. And Christian Deploy is going to be watching the mirror as you see the likes of Ryan Ottens trying everything he can. It does look like Christian's diving into the pits. So that's going to release Ryan Ottens. Mr. Ottens has had his dance. He can tango no more. De Villiers trying to go up on the inside of Tinian Kube. Second guesses the option. And rather, instead of taking the hit out now, he's going to let his victims simmer a little bit longer.
So Philip Minard, having pit the previous lap, he definitely changed tyres. He was stationary for 32.8 seconds. So that's a new pair of boots on that Aston Martin. So he's pretty much splitting the race into two halves. While Cody Sherritt is still out in front, he still needs to make his first pit stop. But this is a nice little battle we got going on here between De Villiers and Nkube. As you refer to him, the hitman closing right up into Nkube. I think Nkube ran a little bit wide through that corner, and that Ferrari closed up right to that rear bumper, as having a little bit of a look on the inside, but not close enough for the chicane. It's even having a look at those two cars. It certainly does look like the front engine cars, like the BMWs, the Aston Martins, the Mercedes. They do cope better with those curbs through that chicane than the mid-engine cars. I know we've seen Ryan Ottens sending the Porsche over those curves, but at this stage, De Villiers he's trying to avoid those curbs and running through over those, big, call it sausage curbs on the inside of that chicane.
It's definitely. And Cody Sherritt into the pits. He was running 143's average and running 143.4, 143.5. And he's now into the pits. Mac Mervis pulled into the pits. That's allowed Nicholas Manuel, Morgan McCall, Christopher Radloff, and Bego Krobler to come on by. But the one thing we need to keep in mind with everything that's going on...
picking up a slide.
And, Philip Minard is just trying everything he can to keep up a little bit of pace. Sorry, that wasn't Minard. That was Elof by the looks of it, who caught to the side.
I got confused between the two Aston Martins.
Yeah, that's it. And Philip Minard is actually going after Christian Deploy yet again, running over the curbs. But now taking a look at it, Cody Sherritt still into the pits and may just get out in time to get ahead of everyone. So he's dropped into 9th place at the moment. His competition a little bit further behind, so he may have just done enough to keep ahead. And as we jump back to Philip Minard and Christian Deploy, slugging it out between one another. Kubius also going and into a battle. Macfin and Merva trying to climb out the pits, but these two going and sharing paint, swapping color schemes, some elbow action. Both Philip Minard and Christian Deploy have completed their pit stops. That's going to throw a spanner into the works of things. And not too far up the road is Cody Sherritt in 9th place, who has lost out to Ryan Ottens, who's in 7th, who has done his single pit stop. Sanjan Pillay is in between the two of them. Do you think the Hybrid Academy team is now talking to one another and saying, listen, I'm going to give you a... I'm going to give you a little bit of advice here. You make my day. You scratch my back. I'm going to give you a chocolate milkshake. How's that sound?
Okay.
Enticing.
But Stephen, there is one big difference between Ottens and Sherritt. Sherritt fitted new tires on his pit stop. Ottens is still on the same set of tires that he started the race with. So, and that goes the same for Sanjan Pillay that you just mentioned. That Ferrari is still on the same set of tires that he started the race. So I think Sherritt might have a definite advantage at this stage. And looking at him on track, he is in clear air. So he can start laying down those lap times. I think we're going to see him maybe in the next lap or two, maybe putting in another 142 or so.
Well, I think at this point, what's going and ringing through all the drivers' heads is go, go, go. Maximum points, maximum effort. You need to absolutely send it as drivers are pouring out of the pit lane, trying to get it all done and dusted as we now into the 38-minute mark. And it is coming down to the wire for every single one of these drivers to figure out what their pit stops are going to be. How is it going to work? Is it going to be enough to claw their way through? Then you've got drivers like Bego Krobler. 2 pit stops are mandatory to go. Christopher Radloff, also 2 to go. Morgan McCall, he's chasing him down. He's got 2 to go. They're not too worried. The hitman Daniel De Villiers, I think, shot his load a little bit too early and is currently in 4th place. 2 pit stops to go at the moment. And managing to get round everyone, deciding that he's not going to pit. Do you think running it this late into the race, considering the past that we've seen, running this far into the race not being as beneficial to get those double pit stops done and dusted?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's leaving it out too late. I mean, we spoke about running the 2 halves in terms of tires, getting the best out of both worlds, but now you're over that halfway mark, so you can still change tires on your first pit stop, but then you'll still have to make that pit stop later on in the race, where the other cars have already completed their pit stop. Certainly looks like this is a nice little battle that's developing between Christopher Radloff and Morgan McCall. Morgan closing in on that BMW. And definitely trying to, put him under pressure, trying to find his way past there. But at this stage, Christopher Radloff just saying no, and you're not getting past just yet. both of them, Steve, as you mentioned, still need to do both their pit stops. So those cars are, I would say, very equally matched in terms of fuel usage and tyre wear, depending on how the drivers treated those tyres. Having said that, Christopher Radloff decides, no, it's time to pit.
Going to make the commentators eat their words.
Yeah, absolutely.
One to keep an eye out for is Ryan Otten's in 5th place. 6th place is Cody Sherritt. So whatever gets done now between Ottens and Sherritt is a bit of a chess game between the two. Has Ottens done enough to keep life in those tyres to carry it through to the end? But if he goes and fits the tyres now, he's good as toast, as Cody Sherritt is trying to close down on him and do everything he can to really make a move. Bago Krubber's into the pits, Christopher Radloff's into the pits. But these are the little factors that are starting to come into play and where we have to keep an eye out for these. And considering the championship at the moment, Cody Sherritt looking to go for the top of the championship, he needs to do it. And Cody Sherritt is the defending champion at the moment. He's just letting the other cars know that he is coming by one of the blue flags and saying, listen, I've got to get going. And
Seradio drive-through.
Seradio getting a drive-through, and I bet you track limits coming into play. That one marshal was just far too observant.
Yeah, no, he was watching, that white line a little bit too closely as we're having a look at Bago Grobler making his way out the pits. Cody still sitting behind the Ferrari.
And flashing his lights at the moment. I wonder,
It's the lap car because on the track, Ryan Ottens is in front of Sherritt.
There we go.
Ferrari
dives up on the inside just to try and get past, but how much time was lost? Because he was running some really good times, 42.7, battling his way through. Morgan McCall diving into the pits, and he landed up with Tian Iloff just giving him a slight nudge in the rear as they were going under braking. But how much time was lost between that little battle? Was there going to be a difficult situation? Loic Randabel coming out of the pits. Lots being asked, lots of questions, lots of different ideas, lots of different strategies coming into play for the RaceFace Grid Championship round number 5 here at Hungaroring. And, well, looking at it from an outside perspective, Philip Minnaar, who is in 11th, is on a hard charge to try and claw his way through. He is close to Justin Lotus. He is close to Nicholas Manuel, Mac van der Merwe, Bago Krobler, Johan Kleinans. He is trying everything he can to close in on the likes of Cody Sherritt, who's just jumped up into 3rd place. Cody's still got one more pit stop to go. Ryan Ottens has still got one more pit stop to go. Philip Minnaar has done his pit stops and is just hoping, maybe, just maybe, he rolled the dice and he's got it absolutely perfect and didn't get a snake eyes.
Personally, I think Ryan Ottens got hurt very badly in that fight that he had with Christian De Ploy and Philip Minnaar. I mean, at this stage, Cody Sherritt 10.7 seconds behind Ryan Ottens. And, as Jordan Sherritt pointed out in the chat, Cody took new tires. Ryan Ottens didn't. And he's only 10.4 seconds now behind him on track and closing. So, do you think, here's something for you, Stephen.
Oh boy.
Do you think Ryan Ottens is going to try and get to the end with one set of tires with 33 minutes to go?
I think he hasn't got a choice in the matter. And as we see Peter Meyer, who we had on screen for a bit, getting a drive-through penalty, showing that these guys are pushing the boundaries. They are starting to rack up. We've seen 2 drive-through penalties. I think Ryan Ottens at this point has forced himself into a situation, and seeing how fast Cody is closing up on him, that his pit stop has to be just fuel. He cannot put tires on, otherwise he's going to lose too much time. And with having the likes of Cody behind, who can dictate when he can go into the pits and observe when Ryan goes into the pits, so he can make a brilliant judgment move on that part. It's going to be a difficult
Another drive-through. Peter Meyer.
Yeah, that's what I say. Peter Meyer, a little bit earlier, we scored. So we're up to 2 drive-throughs. And Gideon Reyna, Tian Elof battling it out. Tian actually moving out the way and saying, Gideon, move on. You can go past me. I'm not going to fight you there. Here's the door. Let me roll out the carpet. Can I get you a cool drink as well? That's what the pass looked like. I won't lie.
It definitely did look like that. Quickly back to that subject, Jordan Sherrod said it's a mistake not to take tires around this track. Drop-off is too high. I do agree with that one, but I also agree with you, Stephen, that it might be a case of Ryan Ottens getting forced into that, where he'll have to make that mistake to see if he forced into making the decision. I mean, to see if he can make these tires last until the end. I don't know if it's going to happen. Almost an hour into this race, and we will have to see.
Well, now he's fighting for position. Daniel de Villiers, the hitman, out in first place with Ryan Ottens in second place. Ryan Ottens, Mr. Ottens himself, is now starting to put more pressure. He's starting to rely on that mechanical grip a little bit more and trying to get past Daniel de Villiers. And Daniel was doing 145s on his last lap time. Ryan Ottens 144s. And Cody Sherrod screaming down his neck with 142.5.
Yeah, I was calling it. I was calling it.
So,
I mean,
there is no time to get held up right now. Ryan Ottens needs to get past Daniel de Villiers. He needs to try and open up this gap. And this is the last thing. He's been forced into a situation of you cannot put tires on. He will end in second place or third place if there is no incidents, if he goes and keeps on with the likes of it. And there's a bump again barging. And I think Ryan Ottens is just letting Daniel know. It said, listen, buddy, you need to move. There is no option here. I've got one stop. You've got two stops. You need to get out of the way. Daniel de Villiers is loving this right now because he's leading the race. And he's in a monstrous fight. So it's now got the old South African attitude of, well, buddy, if you're going to try come past me, best take the gloves off. Let's get into a fight.
I mean, absolutely. I am leading this race. I am the leader. But Stephen, Cody Sherrod now only 5.8 seconds behind Ryan Ottens. He's made up 2 seconds in the last lap. This is how much this battle is costing Ryan Ottens with Daniel de Villiers.
I want to also put out the lingering threat for both of them while they're racing here. And Ryan Ottens going across the nose. There's a slight tap. Oh, elbows out. Ryan Ottens gets it sideways. That's not going to help the tires. Daniel de Villiers coming back at him, and the frustration. The brake pedal must be getting it in the neck. That's all I can say. And Brandon Kruger, who's just keeping an eye on this, is going, well, I'm just going to stay out of this. I don't want to get involved. I've got the tow, but you guys can slug it out. Ryan Ottens hard on the brakes, gets past, but at what cost? Brandon Kruger, who's a backmarker, also pushing Daniel de Villiers out. He says, well, I'm a lap down on you, but I'm going racing, buddy. That's
If you can race, I can race. I mean, it's only fair. And there was Cody Sherrod in the background. You'll see him just rounding that corner there in the background as Ryan Ottens goes through that right-hander. Now only 3.3 seconds behind. Stephen, it might also be a case of, if Cody Sherrod catches up to Ryan Ottens, it might be a case of Ryan deciding, I might as well take tires now because I won't be able to take this battle to Cody anyway.
But now the lingering threat. Take tires and you got Philip Minnock closing down. He's in 9th place. And he has done all the pit stops. It's all about keeping on the gas. And he's been running consistent 43s the entire time. And, well, that's the things that you got to keep an eye out for. I don't know how it's all going to work out.
This is going to be one of those things, we'll let you guys know on the last lap how it all worked out. At this stage, we're just going to commentate on what we see on the screen.
Absolutely incredible. And this is where I would love to just bring the guys in after the race and just try have a natter to them. And I know they're going to be absolutely worn out, absolutely frustrated with everything, and the last thing I want to do is have a chat to, well, the two guys are sitting on the grandstands having a cool drink and talking about the race of how they could do better. Oh my heavens! Mac van der Merwe, though, drive-through penalty. He's still got a mandatory pit stop. He's lying in 6th place. Ouch. That's all I can say is ouch. And well, if he had a clutch pedal, there we go. If the clutch was there, I think it just, well, it had its springs tested with impact sensors. So as we keep an eye on the battle, as all the drivers trying to slug their way through, it's all or nothing for every single one of these drivers. And I know, Janneman, I don't know where it's going to all end up, how it's going to all end up. We've got some amazing racing. Now we've got Cody Sherritt right onto the back of Daniel de Villiers and looking to try and get by. We know Daniel does not go and back down from a fight. He will get shoulders out and is doing so with Cody Sherritt. That's allowing Ryan Ottens to move a little bit forward. Daniel de Villiers is in his right to defend against anyone that's fighting for him for position. And Cody Sherritt going around the outside.
Cody actually being a lot more aggressive than what Ryan Ottens was. I think he realized that he had to get past the Villiers as quickly as possible to set his sights on Ryan Ottens, but there was some extremely close racing, and I still wanted to say, and you mentioned it, that this could play into the hands of Ryan Ottens, but Cody very quickly dispatched that Ferrari and, putting out that gap. He wants to get to Ryan Ottens. He wants to get in front of him on track. Ryan Ottens still having to do one more pit stop. We don't know if he's going to fit tires on that Porsche or if he's going to try and make it till the end. But Steve, you said it. This is by no means done yet. This race with 25 minutes to go is very far from over.
Well, I'm going to go to the man that's actually racing against Tenny and Kuba here, because Mr. Kleinans himself, our Texton driver, going and saying he scored 2 track limits so far, so trying to keep it safe. Well texting, might I add. He texted to tell us that he's got 2 penalties so far.
And that
so
it's scary.
Can I give you your 3rd penalty for texting and driving, my friend? It just...
Nope.
Just no.
Yeah, I mean, we did a police car out on track, one of those metro cars. I actually raced against a guy that, or against a team that the car was painted kind of in the metro police colors. Always scarier racing against those type of cars. You never know what you're allowed to do.
Well, definitely not texting and driving, that's for certain, and that's one thing he has to be very aware of. Christian Deploy also in a great race with Justin Lotus as they slugging their way through. Cody Sherritt last lap time 1:44.3, Ryan Ottens a 44.1 as his quickest lap time. So some great racing going on. The drivers are going, but consistent pace from Philip Minnaar of the 43s, and he's completed all his pit stops.
I think you might be surprised where he's going to filter in when all the pit stops are done.
That's it. And remember that Philip Minnaar is going in for the points not only as a driver, but he is also going in for the team for Rigoli Racing Winter 23. So Rigoli Racing is hoping to try and get themselves a little bit further up and dethrone the likes of Hybrid Academy that were ahead in the championship. But also, I mean, if you take a look back at the championship, what it was from season 1, we had the PWSR team who were duking out with Hybrid Academy. We've now got Hybrid Academy trying to really claw their way to the top, but Rigoli Racing has been putting in some great lap times as well. And, well, this is what we love to see. Some great racing, some great action, and a little bit of chess moves all over, and good to see that guys returning to the championship, also spectators returning to the championship, joining in the chats and having a bit of fun as well.
Absolutely. And Stephen, another guy that we must not lose track of is this man on the screen at the moment, Christian Deploy. He is only 1.8 seconds behind Philip Minnaar. So I think, a little bit of contact. Was that Nkube in the background?
That was Nkube and Brandon Kruger coming together. And let's actually see if we can jump back a little bit and see what exactly happened. Here comes Ryan Ottens. He's trying to get past Brandon Kruger, trying to utilize the toe. Remember, Nkube and Brandon Kruger are fighting for position. Brandon goes venturing off in the dirt, comes back on, and Kuba gets a slight nudge from the likes of Ryan Otters. There's the second nudge between the two, and there's the third. There's the upset car, and Cody Sherritt just avoiding the action as well.
That was close. But I think Kruger totally outbraked himself in that corner. He just took a short right and
Ottens
missed
is
the
in the
corner
pits.
altogether.
Ottens is in the pits, and
I'll keep an eye on Ottens for you.
You've got to keep your eyes on there. I know there's a certain
He didn't take tires. He's already out. Stationary for 14.5 seconds.
Mr. Jordan Sherritt, I think Ryan Ottens wants to try and prove you wrong. Just a point there. I think maybe we need to discuss about this matter.
Yeah.
Risky. That's all I can say.
It's now too late to take tires.
If we're talking about that some people are scoring drive-throughs, if you're on your last warning, you hope the marshals are blind, deaf, and probably gone on lunch at this point.
Yeah, or drunk.
And Cameron DeBastos just saying that proved that they are not blind, deaf, drunk, or gone on any sort of holiday because he scored a drive-through penalty. That moves us up to 3 so far. 4, actually.
Yeah. No, I think we're starting to reach that stage, Steve, where those drive-throughs are going to come in thick and fast. Oh, not a little bit of contact there. Was that Ratloff and who was behind him? Nicholas Manuel. And we've got Sanjin Pillay also in the mix there. So these three are...
Let's take a look. It looks like Peter Meyer in the McLaren actually chasing him down. Bago just ahead. Sunjin is...
Was eye blind again?
I think you may be confusing a few McLarens with everything.
I'll put on my glasses.
Yeah, it would be a good idea. Peter Meyer, though, goes underneath and just taps him, and braking a little bit too late. And, well, there's the quick flash to say, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. My tyres did not appreciate it. But good going. Sunjin having a great scrap with Peter Meyer, and the two really forcing each other around. Peter hoping to try and hold back Sunjin Pillay as much as possible. Sunjin going and saying, listen, buddy, I'm in a Ferrari. It's 75 years. Watch me do this. I'm going to make it stick. And the likes of what looks to be Mr. Lotus, who's having a bit of a run, he's trying to keep himself going. And Sunjin just giving a little bit of elbows out to Peter Meyer, saying, listen, buddy, you want to go and play tapping games. You want to go into this. Let's go and have a great race here between the two of them. And proper, all I could say, DTM racing.
Yeah, I mean, Meyer actually missed the first part of the chicane. He had to go straight, obviously realizing he's not going to make that turn, exiting in front of Sunjin Pillay. So, don't know if Sunjin's going to see that as an advantage gained, but at this stage, he's just taking the fight to Meyer and trying to get past that McLaren by any means necessary. Have a look at the two Hondas.
This is Essie and Johan Kleinans who have battling out the two teammates going and switching around. Kleinans getting by and Essie saying, listen,
maybe he was on the phone.
Well, no, Essie Kleinans got ahead. Essie obviously got the text to saying, listen, can you hold up Brandon Kruger that's coming? And take a look, Cody Sherritt, who is on a monster charge, doing 43s now, starting to catch up to the two teammates, and blue flags are going to be waving like mad, and you could be sure Cody Sherritt is telling them, move, please, dive out the way, guys, venture off, disconnect, do anything to just get out the way, because knowing the threat that has now happened of Ryan Ottens has to just keep his head down as he's completed all his pit stops. Cody Sherritt has no other option but to absolutely send it every single lap. We got to see these 42s come in lap after lap if he wishes to hold his position. Bago Hrubler has got one stop to go. Christopher Radloff's got one stop to go. Nicholas Manuel's got one stop to go. Ryan Otters, no stops, and has to focus on the charge. And we talked about it. Now, one kink in Ryan Ottens' plan at the moment is Philip Minnar, who is on the exact same strategy as him. and you've got Christian Deploy as well getting very close to him. So that's going to change the entire ball game for the two of them. Mac van der Merwe and Loic Randebal going and slugging out. These two going and rubbing bumper to nose. And honestly, having a great race. And so far, as we get into later parts of the race, all the drivers are focusing on just keep these cars going at all costs. Peter Meyer actually pushing Christopher Radloff. Remember, Meyer's actually further down than the likes of Radloff. Radloff is lying in 4th place. Peter Meyer's in 19th. Sanjan Pillay, who is chasing down, he's in 20th position, saying, listen, let's make a move here. Tries to look on the inside of Peter. And Peter, at the moment, is a bit pincered between the teammates. And I think he's just trying to bump draft the guys and say, listen, go, go, go. Otherwise, we're going to land up with a problem. And maybe, just maybe, Christopher Radloff has slacked off the gas ever so slightly. He did a 45.9 on that last lap.
That's
Questions being asked, maybe of, listen, you keep bumping me like this. I'm going to try and help my teammate ever so slightly. And Peter Meyer actually getting the answer to that and going, listen, okay, I need to step it up. Essie getting told, listen, you got to defend like crazy. And Kleinans, who is landing up, getting hoofed out the way by Cody Sherritt. But his teammate, who's holding back Brandon Kruger at this point. So Essie might not be as quick as Kleinans, but definitely can defend a lot harder than Kleinans. Is now been given the difficult task, and that Honda just gets a horrible, slow, depressing slide while I was talking about it.
Yeah, and that releases Brandon Kruger to go after Kleinans. So, he is a couple of seconds back at this stage, but, already trying to open up that gap from Esterhazy. So, let's see how this one unfolds. And, Steve, we're less than 15 minutes to go here, and we still can't call it. I mean, we've got Cody Sherritt out in front, still having to make 2 pit stops. Daniel de Villiers, he still needs to make both his pit stops with 14 minutes to go, according to my timing sheet. So, I don't know if that's the right strategy.
I don't know. And one has to wonder what's going through the mind of Mr. de Villiers at the moment as he makes his way around the circuit, because he's running out of time desperately into the late stages of the race. And a drive-through penalty for Kleinans. So Kleinans...
he called it.
Yeah.
That wasn't us. That's on him.
He completely called it by sending text messages. But Daniel de Villiers, I think we can patch into his helmet to find out what's being said while he makes his way through. And let's see if we can try get an understanding from what his team are telling him. Okay, so not much, it seems.
I was waiting for something to happen.
Obviously not much coming past the pits once again, so maybe the team decided to give the hitman a bit of a break and let him carry on going around his ways, and left him out to dry.
There's 9 minutes left in the pit window, so we're almost getting to the stage where we'll have to pit, do a lap, and pit again. I don't know.
Well, Kleinans, while coming into the pits, sending a text message.
I'm not quite sure what he meant with that, but...
So I think it's loud and clear that when he landed up with a problem, this is for you, Mr. Kleinans, because I know you're listening. Don't lose it off the circuit. You got close.
Yeah, I think we should leave him in peace now for a while and let him carry on his merry way as we switch over to Ryan Ottens. He's got Philip Minnaar in close proximity, but it does look like Christian Deploy has fallen back a little bit. So he's now 1.8 seconds behind Philip Minnaar, so he's losing a bit of touch there. I was at one stage thinking he's going to close up on Minnow and maybe, get into contention with that top 3, but at this stage, not looking like that. As Ryan Ottens makes his way around. Steve, that Porsche, it kind of looks fairly planted still for as I said that, the rear end steps out a little bit. I wanted to say it looks fairly planted for tyres that are over an hour old already, but I think it's a bit of a handful, actually.
Well, Mr. Ronaldo Uwu Busma going after Loic Randall at the moment. But I'm keeping an eye. Cody Sherritt still doing a 143.3 as his last lap time. Ryan Otten's 144.7, so has got the pace underneath him. But remember, he still needs to do that pit stop. And running through traffic at the moment is turning into a very difficult situation. Not only for the guys that are overtaking, but also for the guys that are in their race getting the blue flags and trying to figure out when is going to be the opportune moment to let the guys get by, to not impede their race, but at the same time, you don't really want to get caught out with your race with the problem.
I mean, absolutely. As we have a look at Randall and Bootsma going around. Bootsma, a little bit of on the grass there. So he's certainly not hanging back. He's trying to get past Randall, but as we know, that Porsche, Randall can make that car very wide. As they go through this tight and twisty little section, the Porsche getting a little bit squirrely. McLaren looking on the inside, but Bootsma not close enough at this stage to make a pass, stick through there. So he will have to tuck in behind that Porsche through this final section. Definitely putting the pressure on Randall. And let's see what will happen as they go through the last section, onto the last corner, taking a slightly wider line, having a look on the inside, closing up, not close enough. Let's see if he can tuck into that slipstream on the pit straight and maybe make something stick onto turn 1.
And now it is a dive down to turn 1, and it's all about who can go later on the brakes. Randall going to the middle of the circuit, hard on the brakes.
Round outside.
Trying, bump, barge, just lean on each other a little bit more, share some artwork, and now it goes right back at him. The two are slugging it out. Loic not making it any easy for Ronaldo. Ronaldo really focusing on the charge out, trying to figure out where is going to be this opportunity. What do I have to do to get past you? It's the same as what Morgan McCall and Justin Lotus are saying with one another of what needs to be done to try and get round. So you got some great racing all the way through. You got Cody Sherritt who's starting to close up on this little battle.
It's going to get interesting.
Well, looking at how it's all working out between the two, just giving a shove to one another, I don't think they're going to be worrying about the flags all too much right now.
No. As you said, you get that tunnel vision and you tend to forget about those flags, and that could actually hurt Cody Sherritt a little bit. As we see, Ronaldo getting past Loic and actually opening up a little bit of a gap after they, went bumping and barging for a lap or two. Cody Sherritt now right on the back of Loic, and he's going to try and get us past as quickly as possible, try and lose as little time as possible. And Stephen, 4 minutes 30 seconds odd left off before the pit window closes, so we'll be seeing Cody Sherritt coming into pits.
Well, this is when the pucker effect starts coming into play, because is it enough? Daniel de Villiers, with 8 minutes to go, has got 2 stops. They left him high and dry. I think he's forgotten that he needs to pit.
Oh, his pit crew left.
Well, now he's diving into the pits, and I
think there's somebody there.
I think at this point he's diving into the pits out of necessity, because the fuel light turned off and lands up with a problem. So Cody Sherritt's in the pits. Ryan Otten's starting to do everything he can to close down, with Philip Minnaar all over the back of him. So even if Cody Sherritt gets out in first place, Ryan Ottens has not secured second place because Philip Minnaar is going and slugging it out. They've got a back marker in front. Christopher Radloff scoring a drive-through penalty, so he's landed up with a problem. Sherritt heading out of the pits now, so he has gone and locked down that first place, and has got the likes of Ryan Ottens really in a hard charge going after him. Philip Minnaar doing everything he can, lights ablaze, saying, listen, please move out the way. Just please, I'm begging you. Philip Minnaar getting it all kinds of sideways in the Aston Martin, trying to go late on the brakes. But if you want to talk about knocking on someone's door and just begging them, saying, please, just something. Just give me something. I mean, this is what's happening to Philip Minnaar and the likes of Ryan Ottens, where they just, come on. You got Tiaan Elof, who's actually behind Ryan Ottens. I do apologize, the two cars looking the same. But I think Tiaan Elof is actually going after Cameron de Bastos. So this is for position, and that's probably why Cameron de Bastos was not giving up the position to Ryan Ottens, knowing that Elof is focusing on pushing to get across this. And, well, we talked about the tunnel vision. It's like, well, your race is there, buddy, but I can quite easily lose mine if I let you go all too easily.
So, Cody Sherritt made his final pit stop. He is out 17.8 seconds in front of Ryan Ottens. Wow. We thought it was going to be close.
It's going to be absolutely incredible to see how it goes and where it's going to be. Remember, it isn't over until the fat lady sings, until you've come across the line.
There's a drive-through for Elof.
Elof scoring the drive-through, and, you know, that puts an end to that little run. Christian de Ploy trying what he can with Daniel de Villiers pulling into the pits. So,
Yet again.
Daniel de Villiers, within the 8 minutes, decided that maybe, just maybe, I need to get into the pits and sort my car out.
But I think that's exactly what he did. He pitted, went out for one lap or so, and pitted again, because that's what he needed to do. I mean, the pit window was seriously closing.
He pitted, realized that his pit crew weren't there, gave him a lap to come back from the bathroom, went back into the pits, hoping they're there to possibly just fill up the car just a little bit.
Just a little bit to get out with enough fuel.
Just 93. Yeah, please, just don't forget the oil, forget the water, forget the tires, just fill it up, 193, please. I need to get across this line here.
So, with less than 5 minutes to go, Stephen, we've got Christian de Ploy, which is 3 seconds behind Philip Minnaar. He will have to put the hammer down if he wants to close that gap before the end of the race.
Yeah, but at the moment, I mean, you got Cody Sherritt, who played the race beautifully. He's up into first place. Definitely some points were very worrying for the young man. Ryan Ottens at second place also had a race and a half at the moment to try and do it. He's unfortunately 18.5 seconds behind. Unless something goes horribly wrong, I think Ryan Ottens is going to... Yeah, touch wood, lots of wood, all of it. His race is pretty much locked in for racing Philip Minnaar in third place, which is 3.1 seconds behind, and Christian de Ploy 3.3 seconds behind that. Vegard Krobler 4.9 seconds behind Christian de Ploy. Morgan McCall in sixth place, 1.8 seconds behind, and one position away from going after his teammates. So, yeah, the race has been interesting, and it came down to strategy, but it isn't over just as yet, because anything can happen. Until you cross that line, well, your race is not over. And when you start closing into battles like we're seeing here between Ronaldo Bosma and Loic Randebel, anything is possible, because it just takes trying to work through a back markers that are in their own fight, and you land up on the wrong side of the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other thing, Stephen, I wonder how much that battle that Ryan Ottens had with Philip Minnaar and Christian de Ploy actually hurt him in the race, and how much time he lost during that battle, which allowed Cody Sherritt to also open up. That's now 19-second gap. So Cody is definitely still pulling away at this stage and opening up that gap even further to Ryan Ottens.
Well, I want to also point out we've got a little bit of problem here. Sanjan Pillay, who was right up into the top 10, has retired his car. So he is officially out the race after everything that's gone on. And what a blow to the young man who was on a fantastic race, was really duking it out. And unfortunately, something has gone on with that car. And my heavens, you know, this is where I want to just try and chat to the guys and see what on earth has gone on. But at the same time, the heartache of knowing that you are on a phenomenal charge, that your race was going well, you were in some great battles, but to land up with some unfortunate failure kicking in, having to retire the car, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, especially this late in the race. I mean, you've basically done 99% of the race, and then for something to go wrong. You know, early on in the race, I can still kind of handle it because, you know, you haven't done that much yet. But, you know, if you've done an hour and 15 minutes or so of the race and then something goes wrong, I mean, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's... I don't know how to describe it at the moment. You know, it's... It tears your heart out, but we got some great racing still on the circuit. Blusma and Randabel slugging it out, and they are going for 12th and 13th position.
And Brandon Kruger closely behind as well.
Brandon Kruger, who's lurking around, just Jaws music kicking in right now, going dum dum as he looks to try and go for it. It's all or nothing at this point. You've only got under a minute to make it, but it's also under a minute to try and get it to the line. Have you put enough in the tank? Is there enough fuel to get you across the line? And how bright is that fuel light at the moment? If it starts dimming out, you know you're on the wrong side here.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Sherritt started his last lap, so these guys have just got, you know, a lap and a half or so to go to make that move. Brandon Kruger definitely closing up as we switch back to Cody Sherritt. He is on his last lap, so now one lap, less than a lap of the circuits to go. And, Steve, I don't know, always when I drive my last lap, like he's doing now, you know, it always goes through your mind, don't stuff this up now, please.
Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake.
Please.
Breathe. Remember to
Apexes and exits.
just, you know, if there's anyone that's in your ear, you want them to keep quiet right now. You really just want to keep them quiet. But as the guys make their way through, ladies and gentlemen, one corner to be moving around. He's actually nearly done with the race. Not one corner. He's into the final section. I do apologize. Circuit is all over. Tini and Kube with a drive through right at the last of the race, and that's just putting salt on the wounds. That's like being in a Call of Duty lobby right now. That's just too much salt to deal with, and quite unfortunate to have it right at the end. But as we watch Cody Sherritt, our defending champion, maximizing his points, he's going to be absolutely thrilled with a phenomenal race, and it's all about getting it to the line, taking the checkered flag. Cody Sherritt winning the race, round number 5 of the Middle State Grid Championship. Ryan Ottens, who's making his way through, keeping it all together. 2 seconds behind is Philip Minnar, but I don't think Philip has it just under the tank to get round. So Ryan Ottens will be taking second place with Philip Minnar in third. Christian Deploy making his way around. He's taking 4th place, along with Bago Krobler, Morgan McCall, Nicholas Manuel, Gideon Rayner, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Mac van der Merwe trying to chase him down right until the last, and it's going to be a close race between those two as they slug it out to the end. Tini and Kube scoring 30 seconds penalty with the drive-through, and he was unable to serve it before the checkered flag. And, well, right to the line, Daniel de Villiers, he struggled. He ran out of fuel on last night and had to switch his engine mapping. Has it happened again? Because Daniel de Villiers has got Mac van der Merwe right up behind him. Gets on the power and heading to the line. Daniel de Villiers managing just to get ahead of Mac van der Merwe. Christopher Radloff finishing in 11th place. Ronaldo Busma going and having a great run with Brandon Kruger chasing him down in 13th. Loic Randabel, who unfortunately lost out a lot of time in the battle. Essie Esahase going and having a great time. He's in 15th place. Justin Lotus in 16th. Johan Kleinards, the texting driver, definitely going to be sponsored by a cell phone company for the amount of data he uses. Followed by Peter Meyer in 18th, 19th, Cameron de Bastos. Followed by Andre Seradio, Tian Elof, Tini Kube, and Sanjin Pillay being our retirement. But round number 5, done and dusted. Well done to Cody Sherritt, taking the checkered flag for round number 5.
mean, Stephen, this just keeps on getting better and better, and the racing keeps on getting closer and closer as we head on in the season. I mean, I got to ask the question: what's next?
Oh, I don't know. But let's head back to the commentary booth. And there we go, our ugly mugs for the final time for this evening.
I need to get a better picture.
Don't worry, mine's not too great either.
Yours was taken, I think, from the second story.
Staring at the sun.
Yeah, staring at the sun, and mine just looks like a mugshot.
But what an incredible race, and I gotta say a big shout out to all the drivers and teams. It's been absolutely phenomenal stuff. The championship forever changing. Next week we are heading into round 6, and it is going to be, well, we're running into the final stages of this championship, and it's all or nothing on the line for every single person. Our next race is going to be landing up at Zolder, a very, very difficult circuit. Right after that will be Suzuka, followed our last race will be around Laguna Seca. But my heavens, Janeman, your closing thoughts on tonight's race?
Well, I'm having a look here. I see we actually got Daniel de Villiers in the interview room waiting. If you want to have a chat to him, find out how his race went.
Well, let's see if we can bring the hitman in. And, well, as I say that, he instantly runs away.
He runs away. Maybe he heard me.
He just decided he's not going to stick around for that one.
Yeah, I actually wanted to find out from him regarding his strategy.
Well, absolutely amazing stuff from all our drivers. A big thank you to all our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible. Big thank you to Medal State for putting on the competition along with RaceFace.pro. But a big shout out to all our guys joining in on both Twitch and also on YouTube. Once again, just got to apologize for the naming a little bit off on Medal State Twitch page where it says League of Legends. Do apologize, but League of Legends is fun.
It's
but
kind of a League of Legends we got here anyway.
Well, that's it. We've got a League of Legends that's having a bit of fun on the second. There we go. Big shout out to all that were on YouTube as well. Good luck to all the racers that will be racing this weekend, whether you're at Red Star, whether you're at SWAT Corps. So good luck to all the guys here. A lot of our racers joining in. But a big shout out to our spectators. Thank you so much. Janeman, anything from your side?
Well, seeing how the season has gone this far, Cody Sherritt now back in the lead of the championship, followed by Philip Minor. I think it's going to get closer as we head towards the end of the season, and that's the racing I'm talking about. We're going to see closer and closer racing. Next week, Zolder. Man, oh man, what a track. I mean, it doesn't get much tighter than Zolder. Track tends to get very narrow at certain sections. So I think it's something to look forward to next week, Stephen.
That's it. So make sure you hit the follow button and hit the subscribe if you want to keep up to date, along with the bell notification icon, whether you're on Twitch and whether you're on YouTube. So if you're on Twitch, look up twitch.tv/MedalState. Go and hit the follow button, hit the bell notification icon, drop a subscribe as well, show a bit of love to Medal State. And if you're out on YouTube, look up at RaceFace.pro and hit the subscribe button along with a thumbs up, drop a comment, and also hit the bell notification icon. 173 off 1,000 subscribers. I'm blown by that. I can't wait till we hit that milestone.
You can do it.
We can do it. We can do it. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Well, not really. We're going to Zolder.
Good night, everyone.